Welcome all of you, the viewers of Poland Daily Culture. My name is Maria Kądzielska-Koper, and we are talking right now about the Dominican style of singing and why is it beautiful. With me on Skype as an absolute expert in this field, Łukasz Miśko, who is calling us from Krakow, the Dominican monastery. Father, thank you very much for joining us.
Thank you for having me.
The Dominicans are those special monks which are, on one hand, very traditional, wearing robes, living in beautiful monasteries, but also, on the other hand, very open to the world, using new technology and not being afraid of what our young people are, where our young people leading, and just following them in this path. And this is what you are doing as well. You're trying to make this traditional Dominican style of singing more popular among young people and all over the world internationally. So right now, let's talk a little bit about the style and tradition and the history of the liturgical Dominican singing. What are the main features of this way of singing?
Yes, that's a fantastic question. And, well, depending on how much you know about the history of music in the Catholic Church, well, sometimes people think that for centuries Catholics would sing a Gregorian chant, a plain chant, and then something happened in the 1960s and they brought in guitars and stuff like that. Well, that's not really true. The music has its complicated history, but, well, yes, something happened in the 1960s following the Second Vatican Council, when people felt that the Church wants to be more relevant. At least that was the popular reading of the Vatican II decrees on liturgy. For example, that's how we got our national languages, the vernacular languages instead of Latin. And many other changes were introduced, and often in this sort of aftermath of Vatican II, people didn't know how much of the contemporary style should be introduced. So the Church opened the door a bit, but a lot of this contemporary style pop music and also certain expectations to make Mass just like any other big happy gathering kind of got into that building of the Church through this open door, and we didn't have enough time to process that. So often the Church made some mistakes thinking that Mass should feel like a rock concert, for instance, and sometimes they played great music, but it was not suitable, not fitting for the experience of the Mass. So the Dominican music, in a way, is a fruit of Vatican II. You know, we try to see this whole concept of liturgy through the lenses of the Church's history. We have 2,000 years of history, and we want to carefully study it to understand what Mass is, and then what it requires of us to participate in. And then we try to come up with the music that will help the modern people of this day and age, to open themselves up for this timeless experience of Mass. So I would say polyphony, the fact that we sing using multiple voices, using harmonies, well, it has this timeless feel. It's different than the pop music we listen to on our Spotify. And in a way, it wants to introduce us to this different way of listening, right? Like Church is in the world, but it's not of the world. And Mass is in the world, but it's greater than that. So that music is meant to be a bridge between our contemporary lives and daily experiences, and on the other hand, to bridge us with God, who is a mystery greater than our emotions and feelings and our emotional needs. So yes, this music is not kind of easy and happy and jazzy, but I think there's some joy deep there, down there. You can feel that solemn joy. So we, in a way, want to tell people like, hey, we invite you to this other way of perception that perhaps you don't use every day. It's like with high styles of art, like high literature. Yeah, it takes a bit of tuning. You know, you need to tune to that communication, but when you do, you receive something really great.
It sounds amazing and it's definitely worth listening to. So what is left for me right now is, of course, to invite you to listen to the Dominican style and songs, because they are also out there in the internet. You don't even need to go to Mass if you don't want to, but of course, to have the full experience of it. And the purpose of this music is not only pleasure, but it's also this way to lead you to God. And so you have this experience of altogether of the Mass being closer, but also this beautiful ornament of the sings and the choirs, and the Dominican Center of Liturgical Music is in Krakow, is the let's say the headquarters of this way of singing, and maybe you yourself will become the singer. So thank you very much for watching Pearl on Daily Culture.